It's Mike here, everyone, and let's talk about PowKiddy's upcoming RGB20 Pro, a handheld that's not just about playing your favorite retro games, but also a clear attempt to stand out in a sea of Game Boy lookalikes. And when I say stand out, I mean literally, because this little guy sports a transparent front panel that lets you sneak a peek at its insides. Yup, it's like those old-school Game Boys, but with a modern twist. It's nostalgia with a side of tech geekery, and I'm here for it. If you are excited as we are about today's topic, show some love by liking and subscribing to Retro Pocket for more amazing content. Transparent panel for the win. First things first, let's talk about the design because honestly, that's what grabs your attention right off the bat. The RGB20 Pro is shaping up to be another Game Boy-styled handheld because let's face it, who doesn't love that form factor? But PowKiddy decided to go the extra mile with that transparent front panel. Now I know what you're thinking. Do I really need to see the circuits of my emulation device? Well, no, you don't need to, but come on, it's just cool. It's the tech equivalent of those transparent sneakers that let you show off your colorful socks. It's geek chic at its finest. And while you're marveling at the innards, the build is compact and comfortable to hold, measuring in at 150.2 by 83.3 by 23.3 mm. The device comes in a variety of colors: yellow, sky blue, green, and gray. But honestly, with that see-through front, the color choice feels secondary because the real attraction is in the circuitry that's partially exposed like a teaser for a hardware enthusiast. Display. Big things in small packages. Now let's move on to the display. The RGB20 Pro rocks a 3.2-inch IPS display with a resolution of 1024 by 768. Now, 3.2 inches might not sound like much, but for a handheld that's all about retro gaming, this size hits a sweet spot. Whether you're squinting at pixelated 8-bit graphics or basking in the more detailed 16-bit era, the display has you covered with a sharp, vibrant output. It's the perfect size for both portability and comfort, without sacrificing the nostalgia factor. The IPS tech ensures that you're getting good color accuracy and viewing angles. So whether you're looking at it head-on or from the side while on a bumpy train ride, those sprites will pop just right. It's like giving your retro games a fresh coat of digital paint. Powering the beast, RK3566 processor. Under the hood, PowKiddy packed in the RK3566 processor, a solid choice in the world of emulation handhelds. Now, I won't bore you with the nitty-gritty specs, but let's just say this chip is more than capable of handling your SNES, GBA, and even PS1 games like a champ. It's fast enough to keep those frame rates buttery smooth while ensuring you won't run into too many hiccups, especially when it comes to mid-level emulation. And with 1 GB of LPDDR4 RAM, it's got enough memory to keep things running smoothly for those longer gaming sessions. Sure, 1 GB of RAM sounds like peanuts by today's standards, but when it comes to retro gaming, it's more than sufficient. After all, we're not trying to run Cyberpunk 2077 on this thing, just some good old 8-bit classics. For what it is, it works. Storage flexibility with dual MicroSD slots. Here's where things get even more interesting. The RGB20 Pro features dual microSD card slots, allowing storage capacities from 16 GB to 256 GB. This means you can load up on games, a lot of games. It's like having a never-ending digital library of retro classics in your pocket. The best part? PowKiddy gives you the flexibility to choose how much storage you need, with options from 16 GB to 128 GB preloaded with a microSD card ranging from $70 to $90. Honestly, the pricing isn't bad at all for a dedicated retro gaming machine that can handle a library's worth of titles. Audio and connectivity, it's all there. When it comes to audio, you've got a trusty 3.5mm headphone jack, hallelujah. So no need to worry about those pesky wireless earbuds dying on you mid-game. And yes, there's Bluetooth too if you're fancy and like untangling yourself from the wired life. Plus, the RGB20 Pro includes Wi-Fi, which is always handy for grabbing updates, playing around with retro achievements because who doesn't want to flex their gaming muscles, and even some multiplayer action depending on what emulators you're running. Battery life, long enough to survive your gaming marathons. Now let's talk about battery life. The RGB20 Pro is powered by a 5000 mAh battery, which is a pretty decent size for a device of this type. PowKiddy claims you'll get a solid amount of playtime before needing to plug in. And while we haven't had any hands-on time with the final model yet, a 5000 mAh battery in a handheld this size usually means you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of gaming, depending on what you're playing and how bright you've set the screen. You might not make it through an entire RPG in one sitting, but let's be honest, you're probably not marathoning Final Fantasy Tactics all at once. But hey, if you want to, the battery life has got your back for a solid chunk of it. Pre-orders and pricing. Get yours now. All right, let's get to the part everyone wants to know. How much does this bad boy cost? And when can you get your hands on it? Well, pre-orders are live right now on PowKiddy's website, and prices start at $70 with a 16 GB microSD card. If you want to go all out and grab the 128 GB version, you're looking at around $90. Not too shabby for a handheld with these specs and features if you ask me. PowKiddy is only doing an initial batch of about 500 units, so if you're interested, you might want to jump on that pre-order train. Shipping is expected around mid-October, which means you could be playing your favorite retro games just in time for Halloween. So, is the RGB20 Pro worth your hard-earned cash? If you're a fan of retro gaming and want something with a little bit of flair, like that transparent front panel, then I'd say it's a solid pick. The RK3566 chip and 1 GB of RAM are more than enough for your typical retro gaming needs, and the display is sharp and vibrant for the price point. The dual microSD slots give you loads of storage flexibility, and the battery life should see you through plenty of gaming sessions. Plus, come on, it's transparent. You can geek out over the internal workings while smashing through old-school platformers. All in all, the RGB20 Pro 2 isn't just another handheld, it's one that's trying to do something a little different, and I respect that. Hit that like button if you found this helpful. Show your support by liking and subscribing. Let's reach 10,000 subscribers together.